A few months ago, one of the top female dating coaches on the internet, TheWizardLiz, broke the news that her husband, fiance, still not even sure what that situation was, ended up cheating on her while she was pregnant. Well, now we have a part two where we have a lot more clarity about what may have been going on here. And one of the things that's very clear is that it seems like TheWizardLiz made one of the biggest mistakes women make when it comes to dating and choosing partners, which is making everything about money. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down her latest video where she describes how she got cheated on, and I'm going to be teaching you some of the red flags that you need to look out for when you are in these dating situations, and also some very low-class behaviors to avoid so you can attract high quality men. Hi, my name is Amanda. Welcome to this channel where we talk about how to manifest what you want in life without all the extra stress, chaos, and drama that most people are accustomed to. I've talked about how I manifested my husband. We've talked about healthy relationship dynamics. We've talked about personal development based on my 15 years of coaching women in different areas of their life. And we've been using some of these influencer stories like Aubrey Marcus and now TheWizardLiz as teachable moments in terms of what to do and what not to do in relationships if you want to have a healthy relationship with a man. So if that's something that you are interested in, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we have coming out on this channel. These social media streets have got me really busy this week between Aubrey Marcus, TheWizardLiz, and now the Sadia Khan scandal, which I may or may not do a video on, but I'm very busy this week breaking down the big influencer relationship shit show we've got going on the internet lately. And if you would like to dive deeper into a lot of these topics, then make sure to check out the master classes, or you can apply to work with me privately below. Okay, let's get into it. So TheWizardLiz came out with a new video where she explained, pretty much how she got cheated on. And I have to give TheWizardLiz credit. Number one, she left the guy as soon as she found out what was going on. And number two, as always, she will somehow turn it into some sort of teachable moment. Apparently, this is what she's known for. She has millions of followers on social media. She is known as one of the top female, coaches for other women, and she's very popular with Gen Z. So if you're a little bit older, you may not know who she is, but you've probably seen a snippet of her videos around here or there. I certainly have over the years, and the videos that I saw of her were basically talking about how you always need to provide her man. She talked a little bit about her trauma with that stuff growing up, and there's been a big focus for a while on money. So in this video, she gives us more information in terms of what happened. She was dating or engaged or married, internet still isn't sure, to this guy, and she started making a lot of relationship content about it. And then lo and behold, he started to talk to other women and cheat on her while she's pregnant with his child. Okay, she gets us up to speed, and she says two very interesting things, which is what I want to cover in today's video, because this does cause a lot of confusion for women who are dating. She said that very briefly after knowing her, which if you saw my last video, there was a pattern of this guy kind of targeting her in a lot of different ways. Well, now we have more information on that. And one of the things that she said is that he asked for her PayPal. This was maybe 2 weeks after they'd been talking, and he sent her $10,000. And when he sent her $10,000, that's when she was like, oh, maybe I should talk to this guy. Okay. And then, right, I guess he started asking her to be his girlfriend, and she would say no. And then he bought her a Rolex. And then she was like, well, maybe I should consider it. First of all, right, and I'm going to come back around to this, right, but I want to make this point very, very clear. If someone is doing that early on in a relationship, if a man is sending you $10,000, buying you watches worth tens of thousands of dollars, so on and so forth, very early on without knowing you, it's actually a huge red flag. Huge red flag. And part of what's happening out here, especially on these internet streets, when we're talking a lot about provider men and so on and so forth, is that women tend to take this to an unhealthy extreme sometimes, where they think the guy has to be rich. They think that the provision is about sending her thousands of dollars and buying her a bag and buying her a watch. And none of that shit actually matters, really, at the end of the day. And it's not actually healthy behavior from a man to do that. So let's go into the different points that I wanted to make in this video so that you can avoid being a target to a man like the one TheWizardLiz has caught herself caught up with and now having a baby with. So number one, and I think this is a part of what started happening with TheWizardLiz, and it's not just TheWizardLiz, you see this all over the internet with a lot of the dating content for women. If you're going around saying that all you want is luxury, 5-star restaurants, don't take me to the Cheesecake Factory, all that kind of stuff, the only thing that you're doing is you're giving predators a playbook and telling them how much your cat costs. So if you're going around the internet saying he needs to buy me Chanel bags, he needs to be making 6 figures, he needs to be doing this, he needs to take me to 5-star restaurants, that's the only thing I'm going to accept because he's going to be a provider, you are a target for men who are going to prey on you, and you have just told them step by step by step how to get into your pants and take advantage of you because your cat has a cost, is the way that they're seeing it. And now they know how much that cat costs, and they're going to do everything in their power to get the cat, if you know what I mean. So that's number one, right? And when we're talking about provider and provision, it's not all about luxury. So this is point number two. It's not about cash apps. It's not about somebody sending you money on PayPal. It's not about luxury items, etc., etc., etc. Because as I mentioned, those things don't really matter at the end of the day. I have a Chanel bag. I have a Chanel bag that I bought many years ago, long before I met my husband. I bought it as a gift to myself because I had reached a certain milestone in my life, and there was a specific Chanel bag that I'd always wanted. I'd been, thinking about it for 10 years, and then I finally got it, right? Is it a beautiful bag? Yes. Do I love the bag? Yes. Did I feel very accomplished when I was able to afford the bag with no problem? Yes. Do you know how many times I've used the bag? Twice. That's how many times I've used the bag. I think one time for an event and another time, I don't even know. Do you want to know why? Because it's just a bag. That's it. It doesn't really matter. It's just a bag. So those things, right, which a lot of women, when they're talking about providers and things like that, a lot of times this is what they're looking for, right? And when you put yourself in a position where this is what you're looking for, I say this with love. I say it with so much love. It's escort behavior. That's what it is. And the men who are okay with that, they're okay with escort behavior, they're going to be the ones reaching out to you. It's not necessarily going to be healthy, high quality men. And the final point, which I already said, is that big gestures like that very early on when a man doesn't even know you is a huge red flag. It is love bombing, right? It is not healthy behavior from a man. Now, that being said, what is healthy behavior from a man who is not just a provider, but also a protector? And I think one of the things that we're seeing here is a lot of women are so focused on the shiny stuff, and he needs to make all this money, and he needs to take me to 5-star restaurants, and he needs to put me in designer clothes, and again, all this bullshit that doesn't actually matter. And if you saw my video about the latest installment of the Aubrey Marcus and Bailana thing, I basically said that when you're an immature person, things like that are one hell of a drug. Luxury is one hell of a drug. Money is one hell of a drug when you are an immature person. And I think part of what we need to start doing, and that's what I've been doing on this channel, is start having mature conversations about how relationships actually work, because my God, is it going to save you a lot of drama once you understand what maturity looks like in a relationship. So let's get into healthy masculine behavior, because as I was going to say, but then I went off on a tangent, in this particular situation, he may have been a protector in terms of being able to send her $10,000 and being able to buy her a Rolex. However, he was certainly not protecting her, okay? And you need both. And I have done videos before on when women are only focused on money, they tend to avoid a lot of other red flags that the men are displaying because they're blinded by the money, if that makes sense. And when they're blinded by the money, they're also not paying attention or observing or looking for other healthy behaviors. And I think that's, now that we know what we know, that may have been a part of what was going on here. So here's what healthy behavior looks like when a man is investing in you, right? And he is a healthy provider. Here's the thing. Time and money are two very precious resources to men because it's hard, right? Money, they have to work their asses off for, and time is very limited. And energy, I would say, is also pretty limited, so I would add that in there. And if you're a healthy masculine man, that does not mean that you're going to throw around money frivolously, right? If they're throwing it around like that, they're either preying on you or they're doing it with a bunch of other women as well, right? Because they can, right? So that's an important thing to keep in mind as well. And it seems like that's kind of what happened here. He was preying on her. He wanted some clout. And then turns out he was talking to a bunch of other women at the same time and cheating on her while she was pregnant. Now, a healthy man is going to take his time with his provision and his investment. It does not mean that he's going to make you go 50-50 or make you pay for dates. It does not mean that he's going to have you paying bills. But what it does mean is that he will invest from the beginning, and then that investment is going to grow over time. Right? When a man is in love with you, he will invest with you. However, a man sending you $10,000 2 weeks after knowing you is not a man who is in love with you. That is a man who is preying on you. Right? That is a man who sees you as a target. That is a man who is going to be a problem at the end of the day. Right? However, a man who provides from the beginning and then that provision increases over time, that's actually what's a lot healthier. And again, a big mistake that a lot of women make is that they try and go after all the rich guys. And the thing is that a man doesn't even have to be rich in order to be able to provide for you. And again, massive mistake that women are making, because they're like, he has to be a millionaire, he has to be ambitious, he has to be wealthy, he has to be super successful, he needs to be able to afford the 5-star restaurants because I'm worth it, is what they say. And not realizing that the men who can afford to do all of that are few and far between, and there are women throwing themselves at those men all the time. It's actually pretty basic behavior, basic human behavior, and it's immature behavior, and it's an immature way of looking at this. And if you're constantly focused on he needs to give me luxury, he needs to be wealthy, you're going to have a very hard time because, you know, eventually this is just a numbers game. There's less of those guys around. That's number one. And number two, as I said, if you're constantly saying all that stuff out on the internet, you're giving predators a playbook and you just told them how much your cat costs. So stop doing that on the internet because you're going to end up with dudes like the one that TheWizardLiz ended up with. Now, if you focus on maturity and you focus on what's healthy behavior, then you're going to realize that there's actually plenty of men out here who are rich by any stretch of the imagination, but they will happily provide for you. They will happily protect you. They are in it for the long haul. They're actually devoted to you, right? But again, if you're only focused on he needs to be rich, you're actually going to have a pretty hard time. If you're focused on luxury, you're going to have a pretty hard time, because as I've mentioned, it's not just about the money, it's also all the ways in which he provides and protects in all these other areas of your life as well. And there are plenty of men out here who would fit that criteria so that you can be in a healthy relationship. So I hope this gave it more clarity. I know there's so much confusion on the internet. It's either like one extreme of like women date dudes without jobs and who play video games all day and are very passive, or there's this other extreme that because they've already experienced that or have heard about that, then they only want a rich guy. Right? And extremes don't work, right? I've said it a million times on this channel. Extremes do not work. What works is healthy, and healthy is usually somewhere in the middle. So hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please give it a like, share it out with a girlfriend who may need this information. All the resources on how to work with me further, master classes, all that stuff are available below, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Hopefully the internet doesn't keep giving me trauma to talk about because it's got me tired this week. Anyway, thank you so much. I'll catch you on the next one.